The sword rested upright in the stone, humming softly, as if breathing. Its blade was long and dark, not black but deeper than shadow, etched with veins of faint silver light that pulsed like a heartbeat. Around it lay the remains of 100 challengers, armor split, bones bleached, expressions frozen in terror. No wind crossed the plateau, yet the air felt heavy, as though the world itself leaned away from the weapon. "Don't touch it!" Her voice cut the silence cleanly. She stood a few steps behind him, tall and armored in moonsteel, helm tucked beneath her arm. Her eyes glowed faintly blue, not with magic but with age. She had seen centuries. She had seen worlds fall. "It takes its wielder's soul," she said again, slower this time, as if explaining something simple to a child. "Not kills. Takes. Consumes. You don't die, you become it." The human didn't turn around. He stood inches from the hilt, fingers already brushing the worn leather grip. His armor was mismatched, scarred, repaired too many times to count. No crest. No banners. Just a man who had walked too far and lost too much. He smiled. "That's what everyone keeps telling me." Her jaw tightened. "I am not joking. That sword is older than my species. It devoured gods when gods still bled. It has no mercy, no loyalty, no restraint. The moment you pull it free, it will tear your soul apart and forge what remains into its will." He finally looked at her. His eyes were ordinary, brown, tired, human. No glow. No prophecy. Just resolve hardened into something immovable. "Good," he said softly. She stepped forward. "You don't understand." "I do," he replied. His hand closed fully around the hilt. The sword's hum deepened, sensing him, tasting him. The air shuddered. The silver veins flared brighter. She reached for him. "Let go!" He didn't. Instead, he tightened his grip. The world screamed. Pain tore through him, not physical, not clean. It was memory being ripped open. Childhood laughter burned away. Faces of friends, lovers, comrades, peeled from his mind and dragged screaming into the blade. The sword drank deeply, greedily, as it had for millennia. It expected resistance. Fear. Rage. What it found instead was acceptance. The blade surged, plunging deeper, unraveling his soul thread by thread, and then it slowed. Confusion rippled through the ancient weapon. This soul was wrong. It found scars where others had broken. Holes where something should have been. Entire pieces already missing, burned away by war, grief, and impossible choices. There was no whole soul to devour. Only fragments bound together by stubbornness and purpose. The sword pressed harder, reaching deeper. It met something vast. Not magic. Not divinity. Endurance. The human had been hollowed out long ago, by battlefield screams, by dying planets, by commands given and carried out when there was no good option left. He had already given his soul away 1,000 times over, piece by piece, to keep others alive. There was nothing left for the sword to take that he hadn't already sacrificed. The hum faltered. For the first time since its forging, the sword hesitated. The human pulled. Stone cracked. Ancient seals shattered. The blade slid free with a sound like thunder breaking. Light exploded outward, knocking her off her feet. The sky darkened, clouds spiraling inward as if the world itself was holding its breath. The sword screamed, not in triumph, but in fury. It tried again. This time, it pushed not to consume, but to dominate. It flooded his mind with images of conquest, of burning cities, kneeling kings, shattered stars. It offered power without limit, control over life and death, an eternity of victory. He staggered, but did not fall. "I've seen worse," he muttered. He remembered holding a dying child as an evacuation ship lifted off without them. He remembered choosing which colony would receive the last defense fleet. He remembered pulling the trigger knowing exactly who would die because of it. Compared to that, the sword's visions were empty. The blade howled as his will slammed back. No. Not today. Not ever again. The silver veins along the blade dimmed, then flickered erratically. The sword had never been resisted like this, not truly. Every other wielder had broken or burned or been rewritten into a puppet of its hunger. This one refused to bend. The connection twisted. The sword realized, too late, that it was not the only thing that could consume. The human's grip tightened further. "You take souls?" he growled, voice echoing with something deeper now. "Fine. Take what's left." He opened himself, not in surrender, but in challenge. The blade plunged inward again, and screamed. It found not emptiness, but a gravity well of pain, loss, and relentless survival. A soul that had been reforged so many times and no longer followed the rules. A will that did not seek to dominate the universe, only to endure it long enough to protect something, anything, worth saving. The sword began to crack. Hairline fractures raced along its surface as ancient runes shattered. The silver veins went dark. The hum collapsed into a low, frightened whine. She stared from the ground, eyes wide. "That's impossible," she whispered. The human roared, not in pain, but defiance, and drove the sword point first into the stone at his feet. The impact sent a shockwave across the plateau. Mountains in the distance trembled. The sky split with lightning. The sword shrieked one final time as its will unraveled, consumed not by a greater power, but by a refusal to submit. Then it went silent. The blade dulled, becoming plain steel. Heavy. Mortal. The world exhaled. He collapsed to one knee, breathing hard, sweat pouring down his face. The sword clattered beside him, inert. She scrambled to her feet and rushed to him. "You should be dead," she said, voice shaking. "Or worse." He laughed weakly. "Yeah. People say that a lot." She looked at the sword, then back at him. "What are you?" He met her gaze, exhaustion etched into every line of his face. "Human," he said. "That's kind of our thing." The ancient plateau stood quiet once more. The age of soul-devouring weapons ended not by prophecy or god-slaying magic, but by a man who had already lost everything, and refused to lose anything else. And for the first time in its long existence, the universe learned a new rule. Some souls cannot be taken. They can only choose.